Talk Shoes.
Recorded live.
All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. Another episode of the Müvment Boxing Podcast. As usual, I am your boy Twine, the Divine Liberty, holding it down for hoopjab.com and RockyMountainBoxing.com. I have my co-host with me again, as usual. We got B, Truth and Facts About Boxing. His partner in crime, Bo, couldn't be here today. He's on vacation, but, we going to hold it down for him still regardless. We got Big Cool from the Colossal Boxing Talk, and we also got 2K the Guy from the Guys of Boxing Talk. How y'all doing today, fellas?
Excellent, man. Excellent.
All right, we got some good topics to dive in. As usual, some pretty controversial ones. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some debate going on with some callers today on them, but, we're going to hold it down, and, that's what boxing is about. We need to talk about these things. With that said, we also got a special guest coming on tonight, former lightweight and junior welterweight contender Ivan Robinson, most known for his Gatti Awards. He's going to be on with us in the hot one. So, we're looking forward to that as well. So let's go ahead and get this started. First, we're going to do a review of this past weekend's fights. We had some pretty good ones. We had Jorge Linares going against Anthony Crolla in the unification bout for their lightweight titles. Linares won by unanimous decision, and it was a pretty one-sided thing, but I'll go ahead and let my people break it down. I'm going to send it to 2K the Guy first, man. What did you take of the fight?
Hey, man, it was, let me say first off, I'm glad to be here, with my people talking boxing, doing what we do best, But for that fight, it was exactly what I said. I think the whole panel was in agreement in that particular fight, man. It was a situation where we have a guy who is a few levels above his opponent. And it just so happened that his opponent was the champion. Pretty much Jorge Linares was able to do whatever he wanted in there, man. The one thing that got me was a lot of people's reaction to Anthony Crolla beating Ismael Barroso, I believe his name is. If you watch that fight, Barroso was the type of guy that he would come in, go at mid-range distance, ring off combinations, and then move to the side, back up, rinse and repeat. And Anthony Crolla, for the first half of that fight, he just stood in a guard. Pretty much his strategy was, I'm going to let this Barroso cat punch himself out, and once he's tired, I'm going to take over the fight. He did that with Jorge Linares at points you could see, and that was my biggest thing with Crolla. It was like, don't think that Jorge Linares is going to punch himself out like Barroso did. It's not going to be the same situation. But he did do that at point. Early in the fight, he did pump his jab. He tried to dictate the pace with his jab. But, man, Linares is just too fast. His hands were too fast. He was ringing off combinations over his jab. He was moving them. He was turning them. It was like I said, it was a fight where you could see that there's different levels to this shit, man. But I think it was round 4. Crolla landed a shot that cut Linares, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Linares' face is made out of paper. We all know that, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't matter. Like I said, his skill set it's unmatched when we're talking about comparing it to Crolla. And then in round 6, Linares almost knocked him out, hurt him real bad, had him staggering kind of up against the ropes, and that's where Linares was teeing off. You could hear Paulie Malignaggi, he's got to hold. It was ridiculous, man. But towards the end of the fight, I think Linares pretty much just said, fuck it, I already got this fight in the bag. I don't need to work too hard for this shit. It's already in the bag. And he allowed Crolla to take rounds that he otherwise could have won just as easily as he was winning the other rounds prior to that. So I had this fight 116-112. One judge had it 117-111. The other two had it 115-113. It was a clear-cut victory for Jorge Linares. Congratulations to him, and he is now the lineal champion at the division.
Yeah, I actually had it scored the same as the 117-111 judge. Like, to me, it was pretty easy fight to call, and we knew what it was going to be beforehand as far as what Crolla brings to the table. Let me send it over to Big Cool. What did you take from this fight, bro?
First of all, I did score the fight 117-111 as well as you won. Also, give props to Paulie Malignaggi for keeping those UK commentators from being biased because he did call out the ref for, basically allowing Crolla to dictate when to break the action with the low blows, which was crazy. I was upset watching the fight today. I'm like, Crolla, dude, just fight the fight because your trunks are past your navel, just like Linares. So there's no need to be complaining. He wasn't hitting you, in your nuts and nothing like that. It was one shot, maybe debatable, but props to Paulie for keeping. I think Carl Frost was the other commentator. For keeping them, from being, crying wolf. But in terms of the fight, it pretty much went like I thought it would. It would, minus the knockout. Crolla he's a basic fighter. He has a decent jab. Real limited. The high guard wasn't going to work. You see Art Abraham when he fought Darrell or fought Ward or fought anybody that was active. If you're just going to have your high guard up, you're just going to get, beat with, looping left hooks and shot straight down the middle. And, he had his moments in round, I think it was it 5? Or I gave him round 4.
Yeah, I know
8.
4 was a good round for him. Definitely.
Yeah, so he applied pressure. He landed some nice back shots of his own. I think that was more so to Linares, letting him do that, trying to take, breathers in between, whooping him, because he countered with a 5-punch combination. Paulie, he noted that when I think it was in the early rounds, he had countered him with a 5-punch combination, which was beautiful. And he just did what he wanted to do. I mean, he's a superior fighter. I would have liked to see him be more offensive-minded at times in the fight, but he did what he had to do. It was an excellent performance. He is the class of the lightweight division. As the fight was happening, I was thinking, like, man, I would like to see him and Easter Jr., fight. I mean, it may be a premature, fight right now, but I think their styles would mesh well, and it'll be interesting to see how Linares deals with a guy that tall and fast and powerful. But Crolla, I mean, he's a good fighter. Nothing to, go home and tell your girl or your family about. But, Linares is the man, and I'm glad he got the decision because how fighting other people's home countries could be. But it was a good fight, and he did what he had to do.
Yeah, Linares definitely has some experience fighting over in the UK, so that's one of the good things he had going for him. He's a familiar face around there. Let me send it over to B. How'd you have the fight scored, and what did you take away from it?
I had the same as 117-111. I believe it was near the end of the 6th round where Linares hit Crolla with a straight right that sent him going into the ropes where he could have finished him off, but he didn't get a chance to due to the time. But I'm gonna give credit to Linares. He fought his fight. He dictated the pace. I mean, I got to give him credit to punching from the angles. He has great footwork. Even when he was going back, his footwork was just really nice. I was really paying attention to that. And just give credit to Crolla, though. He did the best he can. I think the high guard, he kind of goes in with the high guard, as I noticed, even in his last fight. But he never throws that jab out. He only did it a couple times. I think if he would throw that jab out a little bit more and probably go to the body with the jab as well, he probably would have got inside of Linares. But, again, Linares was the superior fighter that Saturday evening, and give him all the credit. So,
yeah, one of the interesting things I was seeing from people is, that this was a fight that Linares finally proved himself, and I was just like, what, a 3-division champion? Just now proving himself? Like he's a 3-division champ, 3 world class.
I don't get this.
3 different weights. Yeah, so I thought that was one of the weird things. But with this fight, one of the things we did get, or we can expect, is that they will have to fight the Hans the Kanan. That was one of the stipulations for the winner of this bout because they had to, go through some obstacles to make this unification. We got Ivan on the line now, but I'm going to bring him in a second. But we're going to get through this next breakdown real quick of the other fight we had over the weekend. I'll send it over to 2K to break that one down. We had Donnie Nietes making his debut at flyweight in the flyweight division against veteran Edgar Sosa. A pretty good bout. Nietes did his thing. Let me go ahead and he won by unanimous decision in Los Angeles. So I'll go ahead and send it to 2K. What'd you get from the fight, man?
I mean, what is there to break down? I mean, look. We talked about this in the last podcast, bro. Donnie Nietes is a A+ elite level fighter amongst the little guys, right? And we also said that this guy is too slick. He has too many tricks up his sleeve. He has fast hands. He has a beautiful uppercut. I mean, he's got good footwork. I mean, he can elude punches with his movement, his upper body movement. I mean, excuse me. We went over this, and we also said that Edgar Sosa has absolutely no chance. This is just a fight where he's trying to get acclimated at 112, so he can go after the guys in that division, pretty much take over that division. And Juan Francisco Estrada and Roman Gonzalez's absence, right? So One thing I will give credit to, I mean, Donnie Nietes won every single round. Edgar Sosa didn't win not one round. All three judges had it 120 to 108. I had it 120 to 108. There was no, I mean, it was a complete whitewash. One thing I will give credit to Edgar Sosa about is that he has a beard. You know what I'm saying? We could say that Donnie Nietes' power didn't transfer, but Donnie Nietes isn't really a big knockout punch. I mean, his knockout ratio is 50%. I mean, he
did have him hurt a couple times though. He had him staggered a couple times where I thought he was gonna go.
Yeah, he did. But Roman Gonzalez was the last guy to knock out Edgar Sosa in 2015, right? Understandably so. He's sleeping motherfuckers. But before him, the last time he got knocked out was against another great fighter from the same place that Donnie Nietes is from, okay? And that's Rodel Mayo. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That dude was one of my favorite little guys back then. He retired in 2012. He was the last guy to knock out Edgar Sosa. So he's got a beard on him, man. Yeah, you're right. He was hurt. But, again, Donnie Nietes couldn't finish him, and that is a testament to Edgar Sosa's durability. All right? But, yeah, man, I'm not surprised. There really isn't nothing to say. Donnie Nietes gave us the best Donnie Nietes he could give us, and he dominated the fight. I can't wait to see him take over 112, man.
All right, let me do my quick assessment so we could bring Ivan on. I know he's waiting on us over in Philly, so we're going to bring him on in a second. It was just a world-class performance by Nietes making his debut. Like the countering, like he was just quicker to the punch. That's what I noticed about it more than anything. Like he was just quicker to the punch, getting off. Every time Sosa would set the punch, Nietes would throw one or two at him, And the thing that I thought was pretty nice is that he would throw the 2-1 as opposed to, the opposite, so that would keep him guessing. So it was just a world-class performance, and, I look forward to seeing much more from him in the weight class. He pretty much has it the rule right now with Roman and Estrada moving up, so it's pretty much his for the taking. And, the only other fight I really see for him that, maybe a big one could be Ju Jiming, and that's only if he wins the vacant title fight coming up that he has, But he definitely, he's probably going to be the cream of that class right now with those other two leaving. With that said, let's bring our guest on. We got the great Ivan Robinson of Philly, former lightweight, junior welterweight contender, known for the Gatti Wars. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you having you on tonight. Your connect with Bo. He's one of your people. I'm sorry he couldn't be on the show today, but he over there on vacation doing this thing, so we're gonna hold it down for him anyway, man. With that said, let me go ahead and pass it on to my fellas. 2K, you got any questions for Ivan you'd like to ask him?
Hey, what's going on, Ivan, man? This is 2K the guy. This 2K the guy from the guys at Boxing Talk, boss. Man, I'm looking at your career. You're known for the Arturo Gatti Wars, man, beating him twice. But you've also fought guys like Antonio Diaz, Jesse James Leija, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., so on and so forth. Angel Manfredi, I could keep going. When you look at boxing, the landscape of boxing today, okay, you were clearly a guy who took on all challengers. Do you see a bit of ducking or guys avoiding other guys in boxing's landscape today?
Yeah, it's throughout all the weight divisions.
Yep.
And I believe that my era is my era. This era is this era.
Yep.
I wish fighters of today era was like our era back in the day. But it is what it is. I'm not too much a fan of it, but I'm in the mix of it. So I gotta do it and be with it the best way I know how, because I have young fighters of my own coming up that someday I hope will be able to be on that platform that I was on and do the things that I've done. So, I just got to ride with it the best I know how. But the good thing about it is that we have guys like you, 2K, and all the rest of the gentlemen out here in the world that knows the fight game, that's not too good with it, but y'all also ride with it, and y'all able to talk about it and have some lightning on what's going on out here in the boxing world.
Yes, sir. And I got one more for him, Twine. I mean, if you look at your career, a lot of people will say, hey, man, we just say this. If Ivan Robinson didn't take, specific fights with certain people, if he was ducking and dodging and moving and, doing all that other bullshit that we see in fight in boxing today, you could have possibly been a reigning world champion at junior welterweight. Do you think, this is kind of a two-part question, do you think that if you took the advice or if you followed the road or the path that a lot of these guys do in today's game with all the ducking and moving around and shit, do you think you would have been a world champion in your era? Also, do you believe that these guys today, these young fighters, are just not cut from the same cloth as the guys of your era?
Well, you got a two-part question that I have to answer, and I guess it really doesn't matter which way I answer it, but I'm going to try to answer it in the order that you gave it. The first answer to the question you gave me, I didn't duck nobody.
Nope, no, you didn't.
I'm wondering why after I fought Philip Holliday and lost that decision to Philip Holliday, why didn't I never ever get a chance at another world title? I mean, I won the USBA and I won the NABF. They were, as people will see in the fight world today, they were mediocre titles, but I won them. But I never got a shot at the WBC, never got a shot at the WBA, and the IBF shot that I did have, I lost, and it was real close. So, at that time in my era, for me, it was about making a name for myself. To me, at that time, it wasn't even about no money. It was just about putting my name in the mix with a lot of other people and being on that pedestal that someday, like you're doing now, you're able to say my name in the mix of these guys. It wasn't about the $1 million fights, the $100,000 fights, the $400,000. Nothing like it wasn't about that. It was just me fighting these guys because I knew I had the skills to go out here and fight these guys. And for guys like Arturo Gatti, rest in soul, Arturo was one of the guys, one of the only guys to ever give me a shot. I mean, I was supposed to fight Shane Mosley, but I got cut. Yeah. And the Shane Mosley fight fell out. Actually, I really felt I would have beat Shane Mosley, but the fight never happened. So I had to fight Arturo Gatti. And Arturo Gatti gave me that shot, even though, Gatti was terrible at the time when I fought him. I mean, he was probably one of the biggest names at that time. And for me to get a fight like that was very, how can I say, surprising and lucky, because he could have fought anybody else and made just as much money as he made with me, or probably twice as much, but he picked me and he gave me a chance to make the money that I actually made to go on to make millions of dollars after his fight. No, these fighters nowadays are definitely not cut from the cloth that I came from. These fighters are totally in a whole different generation. And it's kind of hard to say because Floyd is kind of cut from my cloth of fighting. His dad fought late. I mean, he fought in the 70s. He fought Ray Leonard and all, and his father is a great father, a great trainer. I think probably one of the best in the world. So Floyd is kind of cut from my cloth, but he just took it. I don't know. I guess he put a little season in it, and he just changed the game. And he got all these young fellas out here thinking they can do what he do. One thing you can't do, you can't play box. You can't do that. You got to actually be a great fighter, you actually got to want to do this. You can't play this game. Guys think they can play this game. You cannot play this game. And I understand it's about money, but you can't do what Floyd do. You can't even try to emulate what Floyd does. You just have to go out there and do the best you can do. I don't know. It's kind of hard. I understand y'all guys are great analysts. Y'all are great boxing fans. Y'all know y'all history. I was just listening to y'all guys before y'all even brought me in. Man, y'all know a lot of fighters out here in the world. And I sit back and listen to y'all guys. And I'm saying for me to be in the boxing game since I think that I started in 76. I didn't really actually start really getting known until about 78, 79. So I've been in the game a long time, and there's still a lot of fighters that I don't know. But for y'all guys to be so well known on all the fighters, man, I applaud y'all a lot. It ain't even about us. It's about y'all.
Appreciate that, man. We try to keep the sport going, man. And they say it's a dying thing, which I don't believe, but we trying to keep it out there.
And y'all doing a hell of a job, man. And like I said, anytime you need me or you want me to do something, just call me. I feel free to do it.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and pass it over to one of our co-hosts. Big Cool, you got any questions you'd like to ask Ivan?
Yeah, Ivan, this is Big Cool from Colossal Boxing Talk. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on tonight's show.
No problem.
My question is, if you could fight any junior welterweight from today, I guess from the last 2 or 3 years, who would it be and why?
Oh man, I could line them up. I could line guys up that I would let us fight. The first guy, and I take nothing away from him. Actually, the gym that I'm at right now is right around the corner from his gym. That's Danny Garcia. I would fight Danny Garcia first. Danny Garcia.
That'd be a good fight.
Yes. Yes.
I would fight Danny Garcia first. And it's kind of hard because, like I said, take nothing away from Danny. Danny is a good boxer. He's a great puncher. But I just think that I pose a lot of things when it comes to that fight. I'm not a knockout puncher, nothing like that. I just have great skills. I see things. I have great eyes. My eyes may not be great no more because I'm older. But I have great eyes, and I can, get around that. I will fight Danny Garcia first. I will fight. Definitely fight Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman
hell yeah.
On my list. The third person I will fight. I would either fight. What's his name? Porter.
Oh,
or either the small guy. What's the small guy name? Timothy Bradley.
Oh, wow. That'd be a good one right here, too. That'd be a real good one.
Food chain. I respect that.
That would have been.
And my last these would be two guys that I wouldn't even want. I would want the media to pick for me to either fight. I would fight both of them, but I would let the media pick. I would fight either Kell Brook or my man Errol Spence.
Okay. Calling out the big ones. I hear you.
Right, calling out the big dogs. Okay.
I'm from that era and I'm from Philly. We fight the top dogs. We fight anybody we feel as though that we can beat, and we feel as though that pose a threat. The only person, to me, honestly, that I really think would give me any trouble would be Spence. For one, he's a southpaw. Two, he only know one direction, and that's straight ahead. And I'm not a big puncher, but I do have, like I said, I do have pretty good skills. I'm a great boxer. I think I would give him all kinds of problems because I would give him all types of angles. But that's my man Derrick James, fighter, and I love Spence. But those are my guys that I will fight, that I feel as though that would give me a great paydays, and it'd be a good fight for y'all to see.
We actually had Derrick James on a couple weeks ago. He was actually a great guest and provided some great input and feedback on everything. A real great guest.
He's definitely a great student to the game. And he was a great fighter too. So that Derrick James, Vernon Forrest, God rest his soul. Mark Too Short Johnson. Eric Griffin, Oscar De La Hoya, you know, Lionel Odom, all those guys were those 92 Olympic team guys. Those were my guys, you know, and we definitely know the sport. We definitely know what it is that we have to do in this game, and we know our craft. Like I said before, you can't play box. Everybody say, I play football, I play basketball, yeah, you play those things, but you can't play box.
Yep.
So, you know, and everybody, and it's the thing about boxing that makes boxing so unique. Everybody has their own different, unique style. Everybody has a different, unique way of doing things. Football, some way, some form, somehow, you'll see that same play ran. It may not be ran that week, may not be ran the following week, but you may see that week in the Super Bowl. You may see that week in the playoffs. But boxing, you rarely see a lot of different things going on. Like, for instance, I was just looking at throwback boxing the other day. How many people nowadays you see in a boxing game that know anything about the bolo shot?
Wow. That's true. That's
You
true.
see what I'm saying? How many people know anything about the bolo shot? So, you know, when you do boxing, you have to really know your sport and know how to do it. And like I say, I take my hats off to you guys, because you guys probably can tell me about a lot of fighters that I probably can't even mention. I just probably know by name. But, hey, you know, just what y'all guys doing, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Appreciate that, man.
All right, Big Cool, you had another question?
Yes. Are you a trainer right now?
Yes, I am. You already know that. That's why you can't play box. See, all the good boxers, all the good champions, they from boxing, they become trainers, regardless if you don't want to do it or not. And God knows, when I retired in 2005, I said that I didn't want to box. I took a year off from boxing. I didn't go around it, didn't be around it, and just did what I had to do on a regular. It just kept calling me, kept saying, "Man, bring your butt to the gym." And I went to the gym.
My question was, what do you personally look for in a fighter that makes you decide to bring them on and, you know, be their trainer? Is it something that you see from yourself, or is it just, you know, a vibe or whatever that you get for the potential of the fighter?
Well, first of all, the first thing like I said, I'm old school. Maybe I get this from my dad, and I get it from a lot of old trainers. Like, for instance, you know, I come from Philly, so I had the great trainers like Georgie Benton, Bowie Fisher, who was in my corner, Leon Tabbs. You know, these are the guys that I learned from. And one thing with me, before you even become a boxer, or before you even come in and talk about you want to become a boxer, your schoolwork has to be right. You can't come to me talking about you want to be champion of the world and you can't even add, subtract, or divide. Who knows how to be champion that way? You got to know how to count your money, because I can't count your money for you.
That's
you know,
true.
That schoolwork has to be right. Once that's right, once you're on tap with that, then I start taking the necessary steps I need to take by, you know, teaching the young men the ground rules of the boxing game. You know what I'm saying? What it is to step with your punches. A lot of guys don't know how to do that stuff nowadays. They don't know how to step. They don't know how to slide. They don't know how to get away from punches. They feel as though they get hit, they're supposed to hit the person back that much harder. But you got to know how to position yourself to hit a guy. First of all, you got to learn how to get away from the shot, not catch it, get away from it. You know? And then I just look for, you know, patient guys that throw punches correctly, guys that know how to be patient. And furthermore than anything, you know what I'm saying? With this game right here, everybody say, oh, all you got to know how to do is all you got to do is have hard work, dedication. No, I reverse it. You got to be dedicated to the game first. Once you're dedicated to it, then the hard work comes in. Because if you ain't dedicated, how you going to do the hard work?
Good point.
True.
You know what I'm saying? That's just like schoolwork. If you ain't dedicated to your schoolwork, how it's gonna be hard? How you gonna concentrate on doing it? How you gonna do it every day? Just like boxing, you gotta run every day. You know what I'm saying? You gotta come in and do 4 or 6 rounds every day. That's dedication to it. You gotta do those things every day, and it gotta be hard work. If you don't leave the gym that day saying you sore or you tired or something, then I know you didn't work. Every day that somebody comes to the gym and I train them and they leave, they like, Coach, I'm tired, man. I can't make it home. Well, you better try to find a way to get home. I'll see you tomorrow. And that's up to them if they come in the next day.
All right.
You know, I'm just trying to I'm not trying to be the best trainer. I don't even care if I am one of the great trainers. I just want to help, you know, the kids do what they got to do, help them get out the street. If this is something they want to do and they want to say that they want to be world champions, then you got to prove to me that you want to do it. You got to put that dedication and hard work in.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me pass it over to B. You got any questions for Ivan?
Yes, I do. How you doing today, Mr. Robinson?
You ain't got to call me Mr. Robinson. It's mighty is good.
Hey, no, I actually do have a couple questions. First and foremost, who would you say was your toughest opponent throughout your career, or your top 3 toughest opponents?
Well, it's crazy that I can name it in this order. My toughest, I'm going to say my toughest was Arturo Gatti, because I guess me and Gatti fought each other right on, I'm not going to say on the brink of us diminishing each other, or our skills and everything diminishing, but the promoters put us together at the right time. Gatti was hot, I was on the rise, and they needed to see who was going to be the best, because we both were promoted by main events, although Gatti had the bigger contract. Arturo Gatti, Vivian Harris was another young style kid, because he was young when I fought him, and of course, you know, Julio Cesar Chavez. Even though I fought him at an older stage when I was older, I get it. When I was older, but still, the old man could punch.
Wow. My second question is, do you have any up-and-coming fighters right now that's in the pros or in the amateurs that we should be looking at?
Well, it's just ironic that just today is Wednesday. I believe Thursday of last week, I happened to go to my old gym that I was at, which was Happy Hollow. And I happened to walk in the gym because right now I'm working out of Harrogate's gym. But I happened to go to my old gym, and I ran into, y'all might know him. Of course y'all know him. I ain't going to say y'all might know him. Y'all so good in knowing the old fighters, so I know y'all know this kid. Gentleman named Tyrone Crawley, Butterfly Crawley. Yeah, he has a son that's boxing now. He's 6-0 as a I'm thinking I'm gonna say junior lightweight, but I think he's getting ready to move up to lightweight. So right now as a pro, I'm working with him. He's 6-0 with. It's crazy. He's 6-0 with no knockouts. So I guess everybody's saying he ain't got no power, but I worked with him on Friday. He does have a little power. I'm just trying to teach him a couple things because he not turning his punches over. So I guess that's one reason why they brought me in. And I have another kid out of New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, by the name of Verdell Verrier. He's 5-0 with 4 knockouts. So, you know, I have some young kids that's coming up that I'm looking forward to doing some great things. And hopefully, you know, y'all guys will hear about them.
Yes, sir.
All right, you got any more questions for him?
I got one, man. So if your fans want to catch you, man, do you have any social media pages that your fans can check you out or contact you on, man?
Well, you can, my email is ivanmighty3@gmail.com. You can go on Facebook. It's crazy. My name is just Ivan Robinson on Facebook.
Okay.
And my Instagram is ivanmighty2000@yahoo.com, but it's just ivanmighty2000.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we know you're actually active in some of the Facebook boxing groups. So that's pretty cool.
I kind of am, but like I said, it's crazy because, you know, I'm a fighter, and I'm not really up to too many, like, y'all guys are definitely, you know, keen on all the fighters there are, all the fighters there is. So, like, I heard y'all mention a guy recently. A guy, I think he just made his pro debut, y'all was saying? How's the gentleman y'all was talking about that had just made his pro debut from overseas? I never even heard of this guy.
Nietes?
Yeah, I never even heard of him.
Okay, yeah. He's
and
nice,
I feel
man.
bad because I feel as though I should know guys like that. I'm saying I'm in the boxing game. I'm supposed to know these guys.
Yeah.
All right, definitely stay tuned in to us. We definitely talk about a lot of the fighters that don't get a lot of mention in the sport, especially the ones overseas. A lot of the lighter weight classes as well got guys from out of the country. So, we do our best to keep people in tune with that over here in the States since it's not as televised. So we definitely try and keep our ear out for those things.
Let me ask y'all a question now. Since y'all want to ask me all a question, let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think boxing dying?
No. I'll answer. I'll go ahead and answer that. Let me go ahead and answer that one.
Don't everybody answer at once. Wow.
Let me go ahead and answer that. I'll take that one first.
There's only one mic. I can only hear one guy at a time.
Yeah. I missed the question. I didn't hear it. I missed the question.
He said,
do you think
boxing is dying? I'm going to say here in the U.S. it is. I say everywhere else is live and well. You look at fights, like, I watch a lot of stuff on Sky Sports in the U.K. The crowds are lively, well into it. They support. You look at fights in Canada and Montreal, the crowd support. Mexico, overseas, Japan, these people are fully supportive of their boxers. And I think it's something as far as with the fans here, which is something I was going to actually talk about later in the show, so I'm kind of glad you brought it up now still. But as far as fans here in the U.S., they don't appreciate a fighter until they're actually a champion. Like, they don't support you as a prospect or coming up in the game.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so, I think that's one of the things that's bad about our fan base, here in the States. So I would say it's probably dying here. But as far as everywhere else on the globe, like, boxing is alive and well from what I see. I'll go ahead and let the other fellas chime in on that as well if you like.
Let me jump in. This has been cool. I definitely agree with Twine. I think it's dying in the U.S. And one of the main reasons I believe is the lack of appreciation for, our American fighters, whether we think they can be elite or not. You see a guy like Crolla, we was just talking about early on in the show. I'm pretty sure the UK fans, are well aware that he's not a Kell Brook or was a Carl Farter or Joe Calzaghe, but you know what? They still support him. He's a champion. They still, show up, buy tickets to his fights, and just root him on and hope for the best. We get people over here in America that just won't give anybody a chance, whether, you're a champion or not. They complaining about your competition, your technique, whatever it is, your swagger outside of the ring, your swagger on the way to the ring. It's never just the appreciation for a guy that, putting his life on the line to entertain us and to, also achieve the ultimate greatness of becoming an elite, fighter. So I think the lack of appreciation for American fighters, man, it's just going down the drain. They rather root for another country fighter, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do that because you can, love all kind of fighters, but it starts here at home, and you should, uplift your fighters here and make them feel appreciated to make them want to, go back to their home, hometowns and put on the biggest fights possible to, show their appreciation for you appreciating what they do in the ring. So I think until we get behind our fighters and just appreciate them for what they are, it's going to continue to die in America. But all around the world, it's crazy. UK got the best boxing fan base in the world by far. It's not even close.
And the other fellas want to chime in on this one, 2K or B? You guys got anything you want to add to that?
Go ahead, Bernard.
All right. Well, I was going to say, I don't think it's really just boxing. I don't think boxing is dying in the U.S. That's just my opinion. I disagree with my guys. I've gone to a few fights in Chicago because that's where I live at. And I will say this. You see, it's more. I think what it is more the casual fans are very outspoken due to social media and everything like that. That almost try to kill off the real hardcore fans that know how to talk about boxing like we do. They actually know how to break down the fight and such like that. That's just my opinion. 2K?
Yeah, man. If boxing is dying, man, it's because of the lack of media coverage that we have and the biased media coverage that we have against it. One thing, if you look at the UFC, man, the UFC does not try to kill its own brand. We've got writers who write exclusively for boxing, and they try to kill the damn brand of the sport. One is Dan Raphael, another is fucking Steve Kim. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of these casuals, they're reading those articles from guys that are, for whatever reason, whatever agenda-driven reason that they have, they're reading those articles and listening to those interviews from guys who are killing the sport or are attempting to kill the sport. But as far as it being dead, boxing will never die, man. It's too much of it's been around for too long. There's too many people like us who respect the sport and do what we can to keep the sport alive. For every article that Dan Raphael or Steve Kim are writing to basically put a damper on the on the sport, me, my man Jarrell, my man Bone Bernard, and my man Twine, we coming out with videos and articles ourselves to basically keep the sport alive. So, and there's millions of others that are just like us. So, man, you could have people in there trying to kill the sport, trying to get to the casuals and have them believe what they want to believe, but at the end of the day, they still got to listen to us.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But one thing for sure, two things for certain. I really respect y'all, and I thank y'all for doing what y'all doing, man. If we had more or even half of the guys that do the things y'all do, I don't think boxing is dead, but I ask because I hear it all the time. I hear it here in the city of Philly all the time. Because one thing about me that I've always was prone to and brought up on, when I turned pro, my dad, and Philly is like Philly, South Philly, West Philly, North Philly, Mount Airy, North Mount Airy. My dad didn't allow me to fight the guys from the city of Philly. Unless it was really major, unless it was like we was fighting for a title. I didn't even fight for a state title here in the city of Philadelphia. Everything, I think after, I don't even think I came back home to fight in Philly until it was like after my 5th pro fight. I was always on the road. And I think what really made me a phenomenal fighter and actually got sports writers and fans like yourself to know who I was and what I did and how good I was at it was because the amateurs. I traveled so much. I was on the amateur team from 89 to 92. When I first jumped on the amateur team, I won my first Olympic gold medal over in Canada. So, that was good for me. And I think that y'all, by doing what y'all doing, y'all just keeping the sport alive. Not saying that there are people out here that's not trying to kill it, because trust me, there's people out here trying to kill it that's trying not to make boxing as good as it is. They talking about too much money, guys not making enough money, guys being spoiled. Yeah, to some point all those things are happening. But at the same token, boxing is something that the fighters need. I think it's an scapegoat because we do have a lot of great champions and a lot of fighters out here in the world that can be champions and that love the sport of boxing and that can do it. So y'all guys keep doing what y'all doing, man. I'm really ecstatic that y'all guys asked me to come on, and it was a great time talking to you guys.
I got 2 questions for you, Ivan.
All right, go ahead. I ain't going nowhere. Whatever y'all want to ask, I'm here to answer.
All right. This is about a couple of current fighters that fall in one of your former weight classes. One being from your hometown that you already mentioned, and Danny Garcia. What do you think about the rap he gets as far as as what he's doing currently? He gets called a cherry picker and things of that nature, but he actually went through a pretty rigorous schedule, early on in his career, especially when he was at 140. He hasn't really done anything lately, but do you think it's kind of an unfair criticism of him?
Well, boxing can really be hard on a fighter to some degree. The media can definitely be hard on a fighter. But I was always told, and I how can I say? I witnessed this, and I really got firsthand when I became a pro. Yeah, the media is definitely gonna be hard on you. But my thing is this: by you being a fighter, that's just like if y'all guys said to me, "Look, I want you to go out and fight Joe Smith. Joe Smith could be 19-11, and I could be 5-0, 6-0. And that's the difference between me, my era, and these guys' era today. If y'all told me or y'all called me and said, Ivan, we have such and such to fight you. You fighting November the 15th. You fighting him in Las Vegas. This, that, and other. You know what I said? All right, what time? I'm there. I didn't. Oh, who did he fight? Who did he knock out? Oh, no. If you tell me I'm fighting somebody, doesn't matter. You put me in front of him or you put him in front of me, I'm supposed to win. No matter if I win by knockout, but as long as I look good. If I don't look good, then you have the right to kind of tarnish me, say I didn't look like this or I didn't look like that. But if it's anybody you going to put in front of me, I'm supposed to fight and win. Danny Garcia, he has done that. Maybe last year, I've loved Danny. I love the way he fight. Not just because he's a Philly fighter. I've seen Danny when he was like 13. So I've known Danny since he was small. It's just everybody they put in front of Danny, he beating them. Doesn't matter. A couple guys he fought early in his career, like Morales and all those guys were, as Mr. T would say to Rocky, these were has-been. They was has-been fighters. Those jokers was in wheelchairs and walkers and stuff, but they had names. Those was names for Danny to go take, and he went out there. He did what he was supposed to do. To some point in my era, like I said, I fought any and everybody. The same way I feel about Danny. Danny, you champion. You really don't have to explain anything to anybody, or you got 3 world titles in 3 different weight categories or a 2-weight category or whatever. So now my thing is you already done. You at that point that you done proved to everybody you can do what it is that you need to do to win. Fight them guys like Keith Thurman. Fight them guys like Errol Spence. Fight those guys like Kell Brooks. You fighting guys like Berto. I mean, if I was in shape, I'd fight Berto too. Well, I mean, come on, seriously. Fight Kell Brooks. Fight those guys, And I really think that Danny would do good. I mean, I don't think he would have too much of a problem. He boxes pretty well. He has pretty good defense. So, I mean, there's really nothing too much you have to worry about with Danny. I think Danny he'll do real well. I mean, of course, you won't have your critics that talk about him, but who cares?
We got a surprise for you, Ivan. Your boy Cuba Loca is actually on the call. What's going on with you, man?
Who you say?
Cuba Loca.
Ivy, what's up, man? What's up, Ivy?
What's up?
What's going on, man? What these fools been talking about, man? They've been talking crazy about your boy, man. They've been because Ivan, you got to understand, man. You got to understand, Ivan. These dudes is known for talking crazy, when they think you ain't listening.
For real? Well, man, they fooled me, man, because they sound like they good brothers, man. They sound like they know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yo, man, I had to call in, man. I wanted to really say thanks and appreciate you coming in. Like I told him, me and you kind of go back a little bit, and you was kind of like, why didn't I ask you before? And I was like, man, I was just trying to make it on my own. But I still appreciate you coming on, Ivy, man. I really do, man. You didn't have to do it. And it's always good to talk to guys from way back then that went through their ranks, that can really share some light on this sport and what it means, man.
Like I said, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I don't know how y'all guys feel, but, I consider y'all family, man. And like I told you, Cass, man, them brothers really know what they talking about. Ain't too many people that know what they talking about and know the history of boxing.
Hey, you call them my Cass, man. These are my children.
Man, shut up, man.
Here we go. Hey, yes, sir. Hey.
Bo,
yes, sir.
Hey, Bo is the least knowledgeable cat on the show.
And the most biased. You bring up anybody Cuban, Any part of that
Hello. I got a bad connection here, man. I'm out here where the phone line service is kind of bad, but.
Yeah, I hear you say when you got a bad connection, Ray boy.
Yeah. Thanks again. Hey, Ivan. I know they asked you about Danny Garcia and everything. I don't know what was asked, man, but I do got one question. I do got one question I want to ask you. Did they ask you about the media?
About who?
The media. Okay, what's your take on how the media reports boxing differently than how they used to report it back when you were fighting?
Well, I mean, I was in that era with Crazy Larry Merchant, you know what I'm saying? All those guys. I was around with Steve Kim, and actually, Steve Kim is a great friend of my manager's, and I can really say nothing bad about Steve Kim, man. Steve Kim bought it. He asked questions. You know what I'm saying? He didn't matter. He didn't care if you liked it or if you didn't like it. He asked you. The media, I don't know. A lot of fighters had problems with the media. I didn't really have no problem with the media. I loved the media. And one thing that I loved about them, and I really loved them for it, and I wasn't too sure about it, but everybody always said I talked. Well, I just talk the way that things are presented to me. And I try to be straight and upfront about it. If it's something that I don't like, I'm going to tell you that I don't like it. If you come to me wrong or disrespectful or I feel it's disrespectful, I'm going to tell you about it. But the media can be hard, man. Sometimes the media can be the sweetest people in the world. But my dad always told me, in order for you to make a name for yourself and for order for you to be a world champion or even to be talked about, you have to go through the media. Just like my dad told me, my fans are the ones to get me to where I was at. I believe, even with the Gatti fight, I believe if the fans wasn't the ones to pay for the tickets, as the media didn't ask for it to be on HBO, the fight would have never happened because so many people wanted to see Gatti and Robinson fight. I didn't run to HBO and tell them to make a Gatti Robinson 2 fight. The media asked for it. I had people telling me that they wanted to see the fight, and I was only 5 minutes out of the fight already. They wanted to see a second fight. So the media and the fans are bigger than anything. I mean, like my dad said, the fans pay my bills. Y'all the ones that say y'all want to see this. Y'all the ones that pay for the pay-per-view. If we don't have fans, we don't get paid. How you think we get paid the big bucks? Because the fans want to see these fights. Like, I want to see these fights with Danny and all these welterweight champions, Spence and Thurman and Porter and all these other guys. You know what I'm saying? I want to see these fights. I'm going to pay to see these fights. I'm going to go watch these fights. There's other people in the world that wants to see it. So the media could be great. The media could be bad. It depends on how you accept it. But I never had a problem with none of the media. I've always had great times with the media, and I think I can still talk to any media person that wants to talk to me, just like you guys.
Let me ask you one other question. Let me ask you one other question, Ivan. I want to get your take on one of the I guess more personable, more charismatic characters or boxers in the game today. What's your take on Adrian Broner, man? Like, he seems to have so much promise, and he's in one of your former weight classes. Like, he seems to have all the talent in the world, but like you say, you can't play boxing. What do you take of him, or what do you think of Adrian Broner?
Well, you know what? Honestly, Broner was one of the guys that I put in that category that I wanted to fight, but since he got locked up, I kind of took him out of that era for me wanting to fight him. But I think that Andrew Broner is just one of those kids that has so much talent. I don't know what he's doing. I thought him signing my man Barry Hunter to his camp would make him better, would make his game a lot better than Will, because he has all the talent. He has all the talent in the world. He can box, he can punch, and he will be the type of, he's not a Gatti fighter, but as far as presence, he would be the type of guy that people would just pay to see him lose. And he's just so good that he would just mess everybody's schedule up. When guys bet on him to lose, he would just step up another level to win. I don't know what it is about him. I don't know. I wish I could put my hands on it. I really even thought at one time I would like to get him because, like I said, and I told you, Cass, earlier, like I said before, I'm not just a trainer. I'm sort of a mentor, too. And I pretty much mentor my kids before I even start training them. Like I said, you got to come to me straight head first with your schoolwork, because I got a lot of young kids. Your schoolwork got to be right. You got to be right at home. You got to listen and obey your parents. You got to do what they ask you to do. You got to do chores. You got to do all that before you come see me. You got that right at home, then you come see me. With Adrian Broner, he would have to definitely leave the streets alone. I would have to take him to Ghana or Africa, and we would have to train for 8 months. He would have to see nobody, just strictly train. Because I think that's where he needs to be. His head needs to be focused into boxing because, like I said, the kid has all the talent in the world. And he can beat a lot of these I think he should go down to lightweight. I don't think he should be fighting no welterweight or no junior middleweight because they're too big for him. He should stay at either lightweight or junior lightweight.
Yeah.
That's where I think he's best at.
All right, Ivan, I guess that's we got a lot more show to cover, but we definitely thank you for coming on, spending time with us and breaking down, your career and what you think about the current state of boxing, man. And we definitely look forward to trying to bring you on again, man. We got some big fights coming up to finish out the year, and we'd love to have your input and intake on what you think of some of these fights coming up later in the year.
Okay, no problem. I definitely, whenever y'all need me, reach out to Crazy Bo, and we can make it happen.
All right, man. Sure, appreciate you coming on again, and have a good one, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, fellas.
All right.
All right.
All right, that was a pretty good convo we had with Ivan, man. Like I said, once again, we want to thank him for coming on, spending time with us. It's always good to have the retired guys on just to compare eras, I think. With that said, let's go on to some of our other topics for today. We've had a pretty crazy fiasco, I guess, within the last week or since the fight happened. Canelo versus Triple G saga, Gennady Golovkin. They're after the fight after reported that there was an offer made at $10 million plus pay-per-view upside for Golovkin. And, it wasn't something that K2 necessarily disputed. They said there was an offer received, but, they didn't go into detail or go on wax the way Golden Boy did. I want to get you guys' takes of what you guys think of the offer and, the things that have happened in the media since between both camps. Let me go ahead and start off with Bo on this one since he's with us. What's your take on that one?
You know what? I think people got to be a little bit more realistic about this fight, because a lot of people are saying that, that's a bogus offer. He can get way more money. People talking like this is a $50 million, $100 million fight, and I don't believe it is. Okay, so, but the fact still remains also is I don't care what Oscar has said before in the past. You still got to go off what he said and then what they didn't say. Like you said, they didn't dispute it. Abel Sanchez later on that day in an interview that was conducted by somebody, he even admitted that they got an offer. And then they only made a re-offer once we found out that there was an initial offer given to them a month later. And how convenient that they made that re-offer after we found out about it. Why wasn't that re-offer made back when they got, when they got that offer? How come that re-offer wasn't made a couple of days after that? Why was it a whole month for them to get a re-offer? And then there's people talking about but this is for a fight that's going to take place next year, and and things of that nature. Like them type of things can't be negotiated. Bottom line to me is, it's the highest money that he's ever gotten, and I'm saying this because some fighters, when they turn down a purse that's underneath the highest, people say, they should take what they can get because life ain't getting no better for them. But it seems that when it comes to Gennady Golovkin particularly, I guess certain rules don't apply or certain feelings
standard,
don't apply. There's definitely a different standard. I mean, he said 8 figures, and everybody wanted to come up with these crazy numbers, talking about 8 figures or 3 times as much, if it would have been 30 million, 40 million, based off of UK number. I mean, it's ridiculous. Bottom line is, he was made an offer, regardless of how you feel about it. He was made an offer that was probably better than anything that he's ever seen. 8 figures plus pay-per-view upside, okay? Then on top of that, like I said, they made a re-offer, but it's the most he's ever made. This fight is, people are thinking, this fight ain't going to make no $50 million or no $100 million. But even if he didn't take the fight, my thing is, why are we getting upset over what was offered? That's really, I mean, that's kind of crazy to me, how some of these fans are really into the pockets of some of these fighters. And that's the part that's kind of like crazy to me. But do I think it was a good offer? If I'm looking at it realistically, like to me, if this is a $30 million fight, then yeah, I think it is a good offer. Okay? But if people out there thinking it's a $50, $100 million fight, they're going to think it's not a good offer, because people got this mind frame thinking this is Mayweather-Pacquiao type money, and no, it's not Mayweather-Pacquiao type money.
Agreed.
It's not Mayweather-Pacquiao type money. So, I mean, it is what it is. Until they get in the ring, until we have a fight signed, this is going to be an ongoing argument that's kind of, to me, useless to talk about. Because the reality is, and I don't care who get mad at me, how people feel about it, when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, okay, you got guys that can come 2 weight classes up to fight him, but he's not supposed to go 2 weight classes up and fight somebody? What has he done to where the rules got to bend for him, which I don't understand. So it is what it is, though.
And just to follow up off of that, Eric Gomez, a Golden Boy, said it was pretty much a ridiculous counteroffer. So, yeah, we definitely got a long saga ahead with this one. Bernard, you got anything to add or anything you'd like to input on this topic?
Well, my other half of my partner on the show pretty much said everything. Basically, but I'm just going to say this. I think he should have called his bluff if he got that contract. That's just my thing. Triple G should have called Canelo's bluff. Plain and simple. He's been getting called out by a lot of people. Why don't he just call his bluff? I mean, plain and simple. That's just my take on it, man.
All right. Let me go ahead and pass it over to TK. What's your take on this whole saga that's going on, this, I guess, unnecessary drama and dragging out process?
Man, I don't know, man. I really don't give a shit about this too much. I mean, it's like this, man. Like I told Ivan, there's a whole lot of ducking and dodging and fucking gyrating and moving around and cats hiding behind bushes and shit when they see another fighter coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick and tired of it. Just make the goddamn fight, man. It's not that damn difficult. Now, I understand the business side of it. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about under behind the scenes of everything, they're trying to prolong the fight so they can get the most money out of it. We understand that, because if they would have fought, last year, they probably wouldn't be getting as much money as they would probably get if they fought in December. You know what I'm saying? We understand that. But in this situation, man, you've been given, you've been told that you're guaranteed $10 million, which is the most, this is the most money that Triple G has ever been guaranteed in his career. Okay, he was only guaranteed $5 million against Kell Brook, and he didn't get any of the pay-per-view shares against Kell Brook. Brook is exclusively signed to Sky Sports. All proceeds went to him. Okay, Canelo, the most money he's ever been guaranteed was $5 million twice. Once against Cotto, and once against Floyd Mayweather. In that Floyd Mayweather fight, Floyd was guaranteed $41.5 million, while he was guaranteed $5 million. So you talking about
he had pay-per-view upside on that as well. So that's why I'm saying you got to include that. He had pay-per-view upside in both of those fights.
He had, who did?
Canelo in those Mayweather and the Cotto fights.
Canelo had pay-per-view upside in the Mayweather fight. He only got $4.3 million, which totaled up to $9 million total. Mayweather got $80 million, if we're talking about pay-per-view upside. But we weren't talking about that. We're talking about guaranteed purses. And in that scenario, if you're going to guarantee Golovkin $10 million with pay-per-view upside. That's better than anything that Canelo has ever been guaranteed in his career, and he has a better resume, and he's the guy to beat in boxing right now. He's the most popular fighter. So this is a deal of a lifetime, in my opinion, for Golovkin that he should be taking.
Man, look, this is the most money he's been offered in life, not just career life. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not taking $10 million with the upside of pay-per-views, which is going to be pretty good, then he crazy as hell. Then he might as well enter in Winky Wright School of Business, because I don't know anybody who's going to turn down $10 million. I mean, then you the favorite. So do you think that you actually have a chance to lose this fight, or that something might happen where I understand you want to get as much money as you can, but $10 million plus the upside of pay-per-views, you're going to get a decent payday, or a great payday. Everybody had to make concessions coming up. Floyd had to do it. Manny had to do it. Oscar had to do it. Canelo had to do it. So what makes him different? And they all had way better resumes than Triple G going into their mega fights or their first, big pay-per-view fight. I don't see this fight happening, man. I mean, Triple G always comes to the table, and he never wants to budge. He always wants the other guy. He wanted Ward to come to 164. But you was going to go to 168 for Froch. You want more than $10 million guaranteed plus the upside of pay-per-view buys from Canelo, which he's the draw. He has the way better resume. Although Golovkin is the better fighter, what more does he want? He's 34 years old. Time is ticking on his career, and he still doesn't have that signature victory, in my opinion. I guess you could say Murray, but it's like a dude from working a fast food job, go to interview, they say, we're going to pay you $11.50, $12, whatever, and you making $7.25, and you turn it down, you just a dumbass fool. And if he turns his fight down, he's just a dumbass fool, and I don't want to hear nothing else about him fight nobody, because the fight is right there for you to take it and sign, take the pen and sign it and fight each other in September. If something happened on Canelo's end, we can't blame you for the fight falling apart. But the way it's looking now is that he trying to, I don't know, man. You gotta concede something to get something. You gotta give up something to get something. So if he's not,
no, he don't. Not 3G. Not 3G. 3G ain't got to do that according to fans, according to writers. He ain't got to do that.
3G gonna be $10 million out of luck. He don't come, because Canelo was not gonna budge, because he don't want to fight him anyway. I don't think so. Let Triple G be stupid enough to cash himself out of this fight. And I don't want to hear nobody else try to defend that man. And that's just my opinion. Like, I'm with 2K. I'm tired of talking about the fight until it's finalized. It's bullshit, because we got to go through this each time as a mega fight because somebody want to be a diva over something that's so minor. But
bottom line, it comes down to this, man. Every fighter in the history of boxing had to concede to demands that they did not want to concede to in order to become or at least get to the next level, okay? My whole point about the money, post pay-per-view and the guaranteed purse with Canelo is that he conceded to a damn near 90-10 split with Floyd Mayweather, okay? Now, if you look at Triple G's fan base and you compare it to Canelo's fan base back in 2013 when he fought Floyd Mayweather, Canelo was still a more popular fucking fighter in 2013 than Triple G is today. All right, and he still took like a damn 90-10 type of split, all right? And that's not even a guarantee that that's the kind of split that would be happening between these two fighters if this fight even happens. All we know is he's guaranteed $10 million. Canelo's never been guaranteed more than $5. Come on, man. This is easy work to understand.
You gotta make the concession, like you said. Every fighter has done it, to get that marquee name on their resume. You got to do it, man. So the ball is really in K2's court. There's been some talk about they're trying to, they want to factor into the live gate because it's potentially going to be at Jerry World in Dallas, and stuff like that, and, merchandise and all that shit. But I'm just like, man, y'all pushing it. You know what I'm saying? You got to make that concession at least once, man. And then, you can call the shots. Even if there's a rematch or something and you win, okay, then that's when you can put your stamp on it. You know what I'm saying? But he definitely needs to make that concession for this marquee name on his resume and what is probably the biggest fight in boxing right now, money-wise. Let's go to our next topic. Over the past week, or actually a couple of days ago, we had another postponement of the Tyson Fury-Vladimir Klitschko rematch. It's something that's looking like it's going to result in Tyson Fury being away from the ring for a while and possibly being stripped by at least one of the organizations, which is the WBO, which is looking like so far. What do you guys think about this postponement and its implications on the heavyweight division? Let me go ahead and start with 2K on this one.
I was a big supporter of Tyson Fury, man. I pretty much predicted the first Tyson Fury Vladimir Klitschko fight to a T on my channel, man. Everything happened exactly the way I said it should happen if Tyson Fury goes in there with the right game plan. So when this came out, I said, when this rematch came out, I was like, well, he's going to do the same shit. Should be an easy fight for him again. But the problem is, man, he's not mentally there. And if you look at a lot of the articles written about it, it turns out that Peter Fury has come out and said that it's linked to depression and possible bipolar disorder. 1 minute he's okay, he's ready to train. Next minute he don't care if he dies tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? That's Peter Fury's words. So, with that type of mental collapse going into one of the biggest fights of his career, I think it's right for him to pull out. And honestly, if he's not going to fight him, evidently, when he should fight him, then, yeah, he should be stripped. Get somebody else the opportunity now.
All right. Let me go ahead and put a different spin on this one. Like you said, there's some heavy implications because of this postponement, such as him being stripped. There's been some rumored talks about some of the fights that could be going on, such as Klitschko now fighting Anthony Joshua, which, well, I'll let you guys discuss that one. And, at first it was Anthony Joshua possibly facing his mandatory and Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker is also the number one rated by the WBO as well, so he'd be up for that title, whenever it becomes vacant. So what do you guys think of the implications of it? First off, let's get your take on the talks of Klitschko fighting Anthony Joshua right now for his upcoming fight. I'll go ahead and give it the bow on this one.
You said, what are my takes on Anthony Joshua fighting Klitschko?
Klitschko, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting, guys, and I don't know if anybody noticed this. Eddie Hearns seemed to be real reliable. Is moving his guys in real quick for fights when stuff don't work out right. You know what? I understand the fight, Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, because if you really look at it, Klitschko lost to Tyson Fury, so maybe they're thinking, hey, this is our chance to really make Anthony Joshua a megastar, put him in there with Klitschko, who looks like he might be slowing down. He's been out of the ring for a long time waiting on this fight, so maybe they feel this, the timing is right. Let's put him in there, and hopefully this will make him a mega star, But it's a sad situation, really, when you look at the fact that Tyson Fury. It's kind of like, and 2K talked about it one time. Adonis Stevens, when he won the title, he wasn't supposed to win it, and how he just kind of holding on to it. I'm not saying that's what Klitschko's doing. I'm just saying it's kind of strange that it seemed like he won the title, and instead of being on top of the world, it just seemed like things is falling apart for him. And if he does have mental issues or anything of that nature, then, maybe he shouldn't, of course he shouldn't be in there, but he's going to be stripped. But I don't have a problem with Anthony Joshua fighting Klitschko. Like I said, the fight definitely makes sense because you're supposed to have a rematch, so the only viable candidate would be another undefeated fighter. So I don't have a problem with that. And like you said, it is for a title. And it may even be a situation where, one of those titles be on the line, and Joshua got a chance to win 2 titles. So, again, it's just one of them weird things that just seem to be. Thus is the heavyweight division, because the situation with Ortiz, when it was supposed to have been going well, kind of went sour. Then Deontay Wilder hurting his hand. Now he's out. So thus is the heavyweight division. But Eddie Hearns, like I said, one thing I give him props on is he seems to really be good at getting his guys in. When stuff go down, he seemed to really be good at recovering.
All right, Big Cool, let me get your take on this one as far as, do you think it's too soon for Joshua to be fighting Klitschko? Like, do you think this is a fight he's prepared for, even though he's a champ right now?
I don't know. I don't think he's prepared for it, but I think he can win. It depends on which Vladimir shows up. If the Vladimir that fought Tyson Fury shows up, he gets stopped in this fight. He has to be active. He has to establish, his jab and establish that he's the dominant fighter, although we have high hopes and most people consider Joshua the future of the heavyweight division. Still, he hasn't really fought anybody nowhere near the level of Vladimir, which is a massive understatement. But, hey, the call, if you get the call, you get the opportunity, you might as well take it and make the best of it. It's not like he doesn't have great skills and power to pull it off. It's just a matter of experience and whether or not Vladimir is really done or he just had a bad performance against Tyson Fury. As far as Tyson Fury goes, I don't want to, say he doesn't have mental issues, but even, before he fought, the first fight with Vladimir, he was talking crazy. He's always kind of been a goofball, you know what I'm saying, mentally everywhere. So I don't know if he, because he said, I think in the lead up to the rematch, he was like, well, I could lose to, he could have the belt and, I don't care, I already beat you, or whatever he was saying. So I don't think he really wanted to fight Vladimir again anyway, but he probably does have mental issues, and if that's the case, he should, he should be, not fighting. He should be getting the proper help that he needs, but it's best that they strip him of all titles because he's been holding the titles hostage. He's been having Vladimir, in the loop because he's unsure if he want to fight him, if he's unstable to fight him. So, like I said, I hope the fight with Joshua gets made, and I hope that if anything is really wrong with Fury, he gets the proper attention and that he can resume his career later on down the line. But it opens the heavyweight division back up, and hopefully we get a healthy Deontay Wilder come back, and we got Ortiz, and these fights can be made. So it's a blessing and a curse for the heavyweight division.
All right, let me get your take on this, Bernard. Joseph Parker finds himself in a pretty interesting situation, being the number one contender, both to face Anthony Joshua for the IBF title, which was already in the talks of being made before this happened. And now you have a situation where he's also the number one contender by the WBO, and under him is Vladimir Klitschko. So if the title becomes vacant, most likely they'd be fighting each other, depending on how that goes. If you were Joseph Parker, what do you think would be the best matchup for him to take right now to get a belt out of those two?
The IBF or the IBO or WBO, excuse me. Wow, that is. I would say Klitschko. I will go with Klitschko because I noticed when he boxes, is jab, right hand, and the time he clinches a lot. If he uses Tyson Fury game plan, he could beat him. So I would think that, to me, that would be the easier of the two fighters. I'm not saying I understand Klitschko has been in the game for years, but he's up in age, and I think he could get that might be the easier one to get the belt off of.
All right. That brings us to our next topic. We had a mega fight. Well, I won't say it's a mega fight, but it's definitely one of the best fights that can be made right now. We've been clamoring for a minute. Bob Arum announced that Nicholas Walters and Vasyl Lomachenko have come to an agreement on their fight, which will be scheduled to happen November 26th in Las Vegas, the week after Ward and Kovalev. Let me get you guys' takes on the potential of this bout and, just your thoughts about it, period. I'll go ahead and start Big Cool on this one.
Love the fight. I love Walters in this fight. Not saying it's going to be a blowout, but I think that he's going to be able to muscle Lomachenko up a la what Salido did, although now Lomachenko does have more experience and he is a great fighter, has great potential, but I think that Walters, is going to be able to use his size, his strength, and his ability. He's an underrated boxer. He has a very good jab, has decent hand speed, works the body, and, I think that he poses a lot of problems for Lomachenko, but it's going to be interesting to see because I think he's coming off a year layoff since his last
Yeah,
fight.
it'll be close to a year by the time the fight happens. He last fought in December of last year.
See, and that's the tricky thing about it because Lomachenko has been fighting consistently while Walters has been on the sideline, you know, waiting for a fight or whatever it is he was going through with Top Rank. So that's the only thing that, besides the skills that Lomachenko possessed, I think that'd be a possible cause to see, you know, go outright picking Walters. But I'm confident in Walters from what I've seen. I watched quite a few of his fights. He's impressive. And I think that he has that dog in him to go out there and out-hustle, bully Lomachenko at times who can be bullied. And we'll see. But I props to Lomachenko for, you know, being true to his word, saying he will fight anybody, anytime. And props to Walters for taking a big risk coming off a year layoff and, you know, accepting this fight.
Let me get your take on it, TK. I know it's kind of early. I know you haven't got a chance to do your breakdown or look at both fighters, but is this how would you rate this as far as 50-50, 60-40 fighters? How would you rank this right now? And, you know, give us your take on everything, just the whole situation, including the fight finally happened after it was supposed to happen earlier in the year.
Well, I have an encyclopedia on fighters in my head, man, so I can look at fights. You know, I can remember fights that each fighter had against who, and I can basically come up with a well-educated analysis without even looking at training camps or video. So just thinking about that, it's a 50-50 fight. There's a few things that I'm worried about on both sides. People have jumped the gun a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Lomachenko is, you know, he's a great fighter, but a lot of people are jumping the gun because of what he's done in the sport. But it's like I'm telling people to slow their roll a little bit because a lot of things that Lomachenko does in the ring against C-level fighters, he still has yet to prove that he's able to do that against elite-level competition. Yes, he just beat a guy who was a 3-time champion, but he was not an elite fighter, okay? Gary Russell, when he fought Gary Russell, he was also not an elite fighter, okay? So this guy is bigger. He's stronger, okay? He's a boxer-puncher. He goes to the body well, which is known. It's a key tactic for nullifying footwork. He also he sets up every combination he uses with a jab. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that Lomachenko's got to worry about. On Walter's side, he's a bit planted at times, and he stays in front of you. All right? So Lomachenko, he can use angles. He can catch you from the side. Walters won't even know Lomachenko's there, but he's getting hit with combination. Can he find Lomachenko with his jab and with his body attack? That's something else that we need to look at. So it's a great fight. I'm glad Walters, you know, took the fight or signed the contract or whatever the hell they had to do behind the scenes to actually get this shit done. I'm glad it's not Jezreel Corrales, and instead it's fucking Nicholas Walters, man. So I can't wait for November 26th.
Yes. Before, this was actually the biggest fight everyone thought could be made at both 126 and even 130 when both, you know, moved up. So I'm glad it's happening. It's been a year off for Yardy, you know what I'm saying, close to a year off, and, you know, maybe this timeout Bob put him on got his mind right or, you know, got him kind of hungry for this fight. Bo, let me get your take on it.
Yeah, it's a good fight. I'm one of those guys who was very happy that this fight happened. Before, I would have picked Nicholas Walters to win this fight when it was first announced because he had been in the gym, he had been active, and Lomachenko didn't quite have the experience. And the blueprint to beat Lomachenko was there. You know, people can talk and say what they want about Orlando Salido, but, you know, he did beat him, however the fight was, dirty, clean, whatever, but he did beat him. So the blueprint was there to a certain degree on how to fight Lomachenko. But now I think it favors Lomachenko. Number one, he's moved up in weight. His confidence is up there. Walters has not been fighting actively, wing rust. And when you're fighting a guy like Lomachenko, you need to be active. You can't just not be in the ring a very long time, stepping in there against a top guy like, you know, Lomachenko. Lomachenko is very good in the pocket, like 2K says. He stands in front of you. He's very good in the pocket. He's very good at moving. He's very good at using them angle. He has He has good footwork, but he also has quick feet. Means he can be in and out before you know it, and be gone before you're able to make that return fire. Nicholas Walters, heavy puncher, good body puncher, good boxing skills. He has good footwork. He just don't have quick feet. He can't close, he can't close that distance and close that gap fast enough and then get back out of the way. But what Nicholas Walters does do is when he closes the gap, he rolls his shoulders. He uses most of his upper body to move and get away from punches. He has very good hand-eye coordination because he sees punches coming. He can get out of the way and can return. The problem is, again, by him not being active, that messes with your timing. And when you're going up against a guy like Lomachenko, you need everything clicking on all cylinders. So I'm glad this fight is finally made, but I got Lomachenko winning this fight.
Yeah, I definitely could agree that could be a disadvantage for Walters coming in, especially facing a guy like Lomachenko who's, he's been active, doing his thing, and he's been improving, fight after fight. Let me get your take on this one, Bernard. What do you think about the fight?
I'm looking forward to the fight. I would have to agree with Bo that since Nicholas Walters hasn't fought since December of last year, I am kind of concerned about him coming in the ring and with the ring rust. So I'm going with Lomachenko I'm going with Lomachenko. I'm gonna go with a split decision for this fight, though. That's my take on. That's what my prediction on the fight as well. So that's it.
All right, and just to follow up on Bo, like you said, there is a blueprint out there. This has kind of been my thought process as far as Lomachenko. You're not really going to outbox him. Like there's maybe a couple fighters that might be able to box with him. You're going to have to pressure him. You're going to have to implement some things from the Salido tactics as far as constant pressure. I won't say the dirty stuff, but one thing Walters has in his favor is going to the body, but he is going to have to apply a lot of pressure in this fight. That's the one thing I noticed that can keep Lomachenko uncomfortable, and I think it's a style that he's going to actually suffer against, in the long. One of the styles that he's going to have trouble with throughout his career is pressure fighters, which there's not really a lot of them at 130, So I'm looking forward to the fight, man. Might be covering it. But I'm glad it's finally done, and, despite all the financial hurdles they had initially, but it's glad we got the fight happening, and November seems like it's going to be a big month for boxing. That takes us to our next topic. We got a couple of previews of fights coming up for this weekend. You got a women's fight, actually. Cecilia Brækhus in a rematch against Anne-Sophie Mathis, which is a fight they fought, I believe, in 2012, 2011?
Yep.
Okay. So they got a rematch happening this weekend, and we want to shed some light on the women, the professional women. I'll send this one to TK. What's your breakdown on this one, man?
Well, I'll keep it short. Cecilia Brækhus is the Floyd Mayweather of women's boxing, and I say that because she's dominating. I mean, this is going to be her fourth defense of all four titles at welterweight, but it's her 19th defense as a champion, which is she's only got 28 fights in her career, so that tells you she's only had 9 fights where she wasn't a champion. But her style isn't like a Mayweather's. It's more like a Carlos Cuadras', man. If you add more defensive technical ability and counterpunching to that. So she uses a lot of the ring. She stops, throws combinations, and then she's back on her bicycle. If you fuck up and throw a lazy jab, she'll stop, come over the top of that with a counter. That's pretty much her style, man. And she's very defensively gifted. She moves her head, she moves her upper body, and she uses incredible footwork for a woman fighter. Very, very excellent fighter. And like you said, back in 2012, she already spanked that ass once. And it wasn't a situation where Anne-Sophie Mathis was in the fight and then she just lost it. I mean, in my opinion, I thought Cecilia Brækhus won every round except one. You know what I'm saying? But the other judges, they gave Mathis 3 rounds. But I think it's going to be a similar situation. I had ran into a video where Cecilia Brækhus had called out Holly Holm back in 2012, and that was a fight that never happened. And to me, it's like if Holly Holm ever comes back to boxing and she still is true to her form, that's a fight that I would like to see right there. But this Sophie Mathis fight, it should be an easy one for her once again.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Probably will end up being another UD for Brackets. I think she, it was an ED last time, but there are some things that she could have done a whole lot better. She didn't really utilize her jab until later in the fight, as far as like putting an effective one out there, or even doubling up with it. And when she did that, like, it seemed like her shots were easier to pick, or pick Mathis off with, when she was using her jab more effectively. For the most part, she used a lot of countering, as Mathis tried to come in on her and swarm her and pressure her, she would sidestep and hit her with a hook or something like that there, So I definitely would like to see her use her jab a lot more in this fight and, just be even more dominant. She's coming off a little bit of a hiatus, too, as well, Brackets. I guess the injury. She last
fought in February. She last fought in February, but that was in that fight, man. She won every single round. So.
Okay. All right. Bo B. Big Cool.
I would say Cecilia is one fine female. That's all I got to say.
You bogus nigga. Cecilia Brackets, because everybody knows why I'm picking her.
Well, Cecilia Brackets, because 2K been studying her, and I trust his boxing knowledge, and she sounds like the real deal. I haven't got a chance to watch her. Don't watch, too much female boxing, but I'll give her a shot, So, yeah.
She ain't Cuban, is she, though?
No, she's
okay. I got to say something now because
that's why we talking right there. That's why we talking.
I got to say something now, bro. No, I'm just playing. And no, she isn't Cuban, but she close. We'll take her.
She's Colombian.
Okay. All right, thanks for clearing that up, man. I never knew. We got another title fight happening this weekend that's, been a little bit under the radar in the light heavyweight division. We got Juergen Braehmer defending his WBA regular light heavyweight title against ex-champion Nathan Cleverly. Pretty good fight on paper, I think. Let's go ahead and start off with 2K the God as usual. Break it down. What you see happening.
Man, okay, man. I'm going to let y'all know right now. Tune into the Gods of Boxing Talkers. I will be doing a roast on Mr. Juergen Braehmer with my damn napkin around my neck and my fork in my right hand, man. This is a dude, you know what I'm saying? We talk about
babysitting. Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, exactly. We talk about a lot of these other fighters, man, that don't fight guys that they should be fighting, but we don't talk about a lot of guys that are doing that shit under the radar. Juergen Braehmer, this is going to be his seventh defense of the WBA title at 175 pounds, and his entire career, he's yet to leave Germany, okay? And he's fighting a lot of guys that don't deserve to be in a title shot. And that's who he's getting defenses against. Another one is Nathan Cleverly. He's lost his last fight against Andre Fonfara, who just recently got knocked out in the first round by Joe Smith Jr. I mean, come on, man. This is not a real title defense, in my opinion. But the fight's on the fucking docket. It's happening. It is what it is. Juergen Braehmer, man, he's got a lot of flaws. I'm not going to break it down on the show. I'm going to do my own show and break it down there. But he's got a lot of flaws. If you watch him fight, you'll see why he has not entertained fights with an Adonis Stevenson, a fucking Sergey Kovalev, or anybody else that's a top 175-pound fighter, because he's most likely going to lose that fight. That's why he's trying to fight a guy who just lost his last 175-pound fight in Nathan Cleverly, who pretty much is one-dimensional and pretty much plays into his style. The last guy to beat Juergen Braehmer was Hugo Hernan Garay, who was the former WBA 175-pound champion, and he's now retired. And the reason he beat him is because he was taller, he had a longer reach, and he took the fight to him. Nathan Cleverly is bigger, he has a longer reach, but will he take the fight to him? Who knows, man. But I don't know, man. Juergen Braehmer needs to fight somebody. That's just my opinion.
All right. Let me get your take on this one, too. Big Cool, what you got happening in this fight? You got winning?
I'm going to go Cleverly. I think, I don't have too many thoughts in the fight, but I'm going to go Cleverly. And it should be an action-packed fight. Cleverly I guess he has a little bit left in the tank. He has been taking some beats. We've seen the destruction at the hands of Sergey Kovalev, and he was in a tough, great fight with Fanfare. So, nonetheless, even though these guys aren't the top the light heavyweight division, they should give us a good fight this weekend. I expect Cleverly to try to force the action and try to be the aggressor, especially since he's fighting on the enemy's turf. So I'm going to go with Cleverly by split decision.
All right, and Bo, what's your take on this one, man?
Well, like 2K, man, dude been babysitting this belt, and just to shine some light on what 2K said, the last guy he fought, I can't remember his name, it's like whatever it is, but he has a ranking of 52. He's ranked 52 in the world. So I'm just going to put it like this. Juergen Braehmer, he's good against C-level fighters.
Yep, absolutely.
That's it. He's good against C-level fighters. Now, if you really want to look at it, Juergen Braehmer, his footwork, non-freaking existent. Footwork is non-freaking existent. When it comes against C-level fighters, yeah, he has good footwork. But when you talking about BA-level fighters, it's non-existent.
Hell no.
He's also one. He's also a one-dimensional. Juergen Braehmer loves the 1-2 step counter. 1-2 step counter. That's the counter, and he's the classic quintessential European fighter. He fights straight up, chin up, and just fight hard like that. Kind of like Ivan Drago type style. Okay. Nathan Clee hadn't fought since last year, December of last year. So you're fighting the guy that haven't fought. And again, here's another guy who hasn't fought since December of last year. The WBO doesn't really they don't have a thing where you have to fight like mandatory. They don't make mandatories and stuff like that.
It's a WBA.
Okay.
It's a WBA.
Okay. I thought it was a WBO. I was going to say. Right. Well, thanks for correcting me. So WBA, but for some reason he's been able to hold on to and defend his title against these guys, like you said, that's ranked way out of not just the top 10, but the top 20. All right. Then you're fighting the guy that just came off of a loss. All right, I'm hoping Cleverly wins only because Cleverly is the type of guy he'll fight anybody. If you know what I'm saying, if you put him in there, he'll fight anybody. So at least we'll get somebody who wins the fight that'll hold the title, that's willing to fight the next person. But it's a good fight on paper, but these guys babysitting these belts. It's ridiculous. I even heard Adonis Stevens next he fighting, and I feel the same way about this guy.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely think this is a fight that Cleverly can win. He does have the more known, recognizable names on his resume. Fighting Bello twice, Kovalev, Fanfare. He's been in there with some decent guys, or competition compared to Braehmer. So, hopefully he comes out on top. I think he should. This is a fight he should be able to win, though. But I'm glad Braehmer's finally stepping up against somebody with the name or somebody notable that we could actually be like, okay, yeah, he fought somebody. But like you said, Cleverly's coming off a loss, and it'll be close to a year since his last fight in October against Andres Farfara last year.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going with Cleverly. Is that why you making
all that noise over there?
Yeah, I'm about to get it. I'm really just trying to. Y'all took some of my points, so y'all ain't going to school out me on this one. Look, let's give credit to Cleverly and Fanfare. I was at that fight, which was in Chicago. So, I was at that fight, and they threw over 1,000 punches each. They set a record for throwing punches in a light heavyweight match. Me personally, I think Cleverly is going to bring the fight because he wants that championship belt. He's going to take it away from the babysitter. So that's just my personal opinion on it. Other than that, y'all said everything else I wanted to say. So I'm going to digress and give that to you, Twine.
All right. And now we got one of our more controversial topics we're going to bring up right now. I did a poll in a couple of groups on Facebook, or a questionnaire, I guess you can say. I don't know, it's just something it seems I see on social media and also with some of the writers. It's been this criticism of PBC and now Haymon, their business model, and I don't know if this warranted or blatant or however you want to call it, but it was just something I wanted to try and get to the bottom to. So I did a questionnaire asking people what was their displeasures with it. So I'll go ahead and list some of those complaints they had as far as about the Al Haymon and his PBC model. And this is something we've been debating all day in some of the groups, a couple of us on here. So one of the complaints was the schedule is all over the place on many different channels and irregular dates. Another complaint was the lack of matching their A-sides, and we'll break that down. I'll let somebody get on that one. The person said the only A-side fight, or the only A-side fight they had this year was Porter versus Thurman. That was for this year. Another complaint was about as far as how he received funding from investment from Waddell and Reed. He was able to sign enough fighters and talk slick enough to get someone to give him $500 million. He then spent it as quickly as possible, all the while taking 15% on the side for advisor fees. He has absolutely killed the prospect of boxing on network TV. So that's another one we'll tackle in this segment. One of the guys this was actually a pretty good one. They like the PBC, but they spread themselves too thin, or to provide one television network for prime boxing for the fans is one thing, but to do it over 7 networks is kind of hard to do. So that was one of the I won't say that's a complaint, but that was a pretty good assessment. One of the complaints was there's too many mismatches. Another complaint is that I've been seeing a lot lately come up as the activity of their more popular fighters. So that was a complaint. The location of the fights for some of them. And I guess another one was that their displeasure with Al Haymon is that they set up the whole thing in a way that financially, like it was always going to fail just the way it was set up. And, they think basically boxing is going to have to go back to sticking with HBO and Showtime, and the fans lose out on it because, this is looking like it may be a failure, or at least that's what's being reported by several media outlets. So I'll go ahead and let Bo start on this one. Any of these criticisms or critiques you want to attack? I'll go ahead and assign them, actually. What do you think about the one as far as the lack of matching their A-sides against each other, and them saying Porter versus Thurman was the only A-side match this year?
Well, whoever said that hasn't been watching PBC all year long, because you also had Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton. You also had Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Morris.
Just from this year.
Oh, okay. Well, you had Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton. Okay. Tell me where HBO or Golden Boy has done better. When I'm looking at, did I really need to see? And it might have been last year, but did I really need to see Kovalev Pascual 2? Did we not just see 3G versus a Dominique Wade, Canelo Alvarez versus Amir Khan, Canelo Alvarez versus Liam Smith? So when you talk to me about the mismatches, like I said, show me where this, this model that everybody thinks only applies to PBC. Show me where HBO, Golden Boy, or Top Rank has done better. Do we really need to see Pacquiao versus Vargas? And I get it, Vargas has the title, but clearly to some people, it's a mismatch. So, it is what it is. They're in their second year, and my thing is anybody who hopes this fails or hope this doomed, they're not boxing fans, because if you're a supporter of boxing, you don't want no part of boxing to fail, not even Top Rank or Golden Boy.
All right. And just to go over a list of some of the fights that PBC has had this year, another thing that's kind of the mixed up is the whole A-side or, A-side matches. Like, how many A-sides or A fighters does PBC brand actually have? You got to walk that fine line when actually using that term A-side or A-level fighter, I know he has a big list of fighters, but out of the 200 fighters or so that he supposedly has signed, like, you could probably list maybe 15, 20 of them that may be A-side or, A- B level that, that are actually super, super notable. So that's another thing people need to pay attention to. But as far as, PBC fights this year, I'll go over some of them. As both said, we had Santa Cruz versus Frampton. Frampton versus Quigg was earlier in the year. We had the Robert Easter fight against Colomé. That was a real good one, competitive. I wouldn't consider it A-side, but these are actually real competitive fights. We had, Spence versus Algeria was another good one. Glowacki versus Cunningham, that was a decent fight. Let's see, we had
Hey, Twine, that's the thing. We need to figure out what people mean by A-side, because you're naming fights that are good fights, but some of them people might not consider them A-side, or are they considering them A-side? See, that's the thing we really need to find out. What do y'all think? What are A-side fighters do?
My thing is this consistent with what any other network was doing. Like, for instance, I'm a huge Crawford fan, but did I need to see him fight Hank Lundy? Hell no. Like, but it wasn't a fight that was criticized or anything like that, But, we had the Badu Jack and Butte fight. That was another one. PBC has put on a lot of good fights, but, what do you guys think about the assessment as far as A-level matches? Do you think that's an accurate description or accurate critique? TK, let me get your opinion on that.
I mean, like I said, man, I really don't have no opinion on this, man. It's all bullshit, bro. PBC is doing well. It's an opportunity to see boxing on regular television. You don't have to pay for their shit. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's going to be on Showtime, and in that situation you have to have a subscription. But they have more fights on regular television than they do on network television. So I mean, it's brought boxing back to the 80s, 70s, etc. To where we're able to flip on, Channel 3, some local channel at 7 o'clock at night, and we get to see some live, credible boxing matches. Of course, some of these matches have been robberies. I'm not going to keep it this year. I'll just talk about PBC in general, like Dominic Brazil and Fred Cassie. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the biggest robberies of PBC. But that's to say that nobody has ever put a match together in it being a robbery is ridiculous. Perfect example, Canelo and fucking Eric Londi Lara. So anyway, man, but yeah, bro, it's like it's bullshit, and it's an excuse for people to actually hate on something that they should actually support if they're a true boxing fan. That's just my take on the whole damn thing.
All right. One of the reasons I actually wanted to talk about this on the show today was actually because of I guess you could call it a blog. I'm not even gonna say his name. It's been mentioned already, so that's all the credit he's gonna get for today. I'm not gonna say his name, but it was basically something saying that PBC is coming to an end financially, and I just wanted to do a breakdown into some of the figures, saying that just to prove people that they're not broke or they're not hemorrhaging money. So initially they were given. This is reported by Lance Pugemeyer, one of my favorite writers. So I go to him, for a lot of stuff. Him, Coppinger, Kevin Aioli, like those are the guys I refer to when I do my boxing research. I don't look at the so-called super media. But Waddell and Reed invested supposedly $500 million in this. Some of the details were since then, Al Haymon's PBC model is based on time slots and paying for time slots, actually. So for ESPN, they had 24 cards, and this is over a couple-year period. So there's 24 cards paid for ESPN, 20 time slots for NBC, and basically it's looking like they paid $20 million for the NBC slots for 20 of them. Now, we haven't come close to seeing 20 PBC fights yet. So there's a duration of a couple of years on this going to get those slots filled, and that's been one of the criticisms I've seen lately, that there's not going to be anything on regular TV for the rest of the year. there's also been a report that 19.2 million. This was as of February of this year, so it's probably gone up at the most maybe 10 million or a little bit more since then. But there is $19.2 million paid in purses for all their cards so far since PBC has actually been going since last year, 2015. Spike TV and Fox Networks have actually paid for licensing fees for the PBC, so those aren't any paid time slots there. So that's no lost revenue coming there. Bounce TV was also a time buy, but there's no details on that one. CBS, they had a deal for 8 shows, which I know we haven't seen 8 shows on CBS yet, but they're being charged $600,000 per show. So that's $4.8 million. So you basically do the million or do the math from that, and they haven't lost anywhere close, or there's nowhere close to being hemorrhaging money. Like, they still have $400+ million in the tank. And the thing is about business, this is a guy that went to Harvard and got his MBA. Like, I got my master's degree, but it ain't in no business, and I even know about burn rates. So to tell me this man doesn't know about that with a Harvard MBA, like, it's kind of, it's kind of an insult, I think. To think that he's just spending money like that, or that he wouldn't make adjustments to his model based on what he's seeing in the market or the feedback that's coming. So to make it seem like they're really at a loss and there's no money left, I just hate that whole report being put out. So that was just my thought on it. Bernard, you got anything you want to add? I know you've been looking at some stuff that you may want to add on.
I was just listening to you, what you said, and you broke down the numbers, right? Now, is that you had those numbers that you just broke down, but we're not including venues they have to get or have to rent out for these events, as well as paying the fighters and everything like that. Now, my thing is this: I'm not going to mention his name as well, or even the other person that speaks on PBC in a negative manner. My thing is this: break down your numbers so we can see where it's what you're saying on how PBC is losing money, or how they're not getting any ratings, or this fight is going to be boring and this and that. That's what I want to know. From the
well, the problem is the money inflows aren't coming, like, they don't match. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the inflows aren't coming as well, but so they may be they're spending more than they're bringing in. That's pretty much the premise. Like, let's see, there's let me see if I got it here.
I got a question. I got a question here to propose to the panel. Other than me, I've been to 3 PBC fights. Have anybody else been to a PBC fight?
I cover fights, so I've been to plenty of them. I went to the Charlos in Vegas. Went to Jacobs Quillen. Like, my first fight was a PBC card, or Showtime Porter against Brooke.
I covered a wider area of the fight, so yeah.
Okay, then, how was the crowd there? I mean, in terms of how did they fill up the arena, and how did they interact when it came to the fight? Were they sitting there boring, or was they into the crowd? I mean, into the fight.
Birmingham was off the chain for Wilder. I mean, they was off the chain for all the fights. I mean, but when Wilder, of course, the headliner, I mean, it was packed pretty much. I mean, it was a great atmosphere. You definitely that was my first ever fight live, so it definitely just made me want to go to more fights. After that, it was a great atmosphere.
Okay. Anybody else before I say anything?
I wouldn't say anytime I go to Brooklyn, I love Brooklyn, or going to Barclays for stuff. So I thought Quillen versus Jacobs was a nice turnout. Probably not as big as it could have been, considering it was 2 hometown people.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent one, as far as the Charlos and Eris Mandilera, it was at the Cosmopolitan, pretty smaller venue, so it wasn't completely packed, but it was a nice crowd.
Okay.
So basically, people think all this money is being paid for time slots when it's not. You got to think Fox and Spike have both paid for licensing fees for PBC since its inception. Think about the other fights that happened on Showtime. Those are all being paid for by Showtime. Like that, those are being licensed by them. So
can I jump in?
The operating got it lost.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got you. After you, I want to say something real quick. So you close your ass.
All right. Okay, PBC may be struggling a little bit, but we just talked about it on last week, how HBO is cut back on, spending for their fights because they want quality fights. So everybody is struggling, and I believe everybody's struggling because everybody's not working together. I mean, of course, Al Haymon is going to have his ups and downs and like every other network and boxing entity, but boxing right now as a whole is suffering from the lack of quality fights. I love PBC, don't get me wrong, but this has nothing to do with Al Haymon, even though he's the mastermind behind it. I love it because I love boxing, so I get to see more fights. And like 2K said, you see fights on network television. I got Showtime, I got HBO, but that's the only reason I got HBO, and I'm kind of disappointed because we're not getting the fights that we want, paying, whatever it is a month for HBO. So I think that everybody struggles at some point or another. I think that people want to see PBC fail for whatever reason they have in their hearts and minds. But when you got like 200 fighters, not all 200 fighters are gonna be pleased all the time. That's just a part of business. But you got to take in account that some of these fighters hurt, some of these fighters price themselves out of fights. Sometimes, they can't. Al Haymon just can't work with HBO because they won't come to the table. And until we start getting these guys to work together again, there's gonna always be muds, thrown at each other. Well, Top Rank ain't doing nothing. Well, PBC not doing nothing. Showtime not doing nothing. HBO not doing nothing. So until everybody work together, you're gonna keep hearing about reports from HBO continuing to decline in their numbers of fights being broadcast each year. The same way you're gonna hear about the lack of quality fights from PBC because we just can't make those cross-promotional fights like we used to. So, everybody has the good and bad in each business. You just got to, if you're a true boxing fan, you love it for what it is. You get more fights. More fighters are accessible to, more than ever. So you can cover junior flyweight and be like, okay, that's who this guy is. That's who that guy is. So Al Haymon is doing a lot of good for boxing. Of course, you're going to take some losses, but it's 2 years into this experiment. So give it some time, man, and wish it well, whether you like him or don't like him. If you love boxing, you should be on board for any time, we can get some free boxing. So PBC has provided us some very good fights, and we just got to give it some time and let it grow and let it really, get situated in and hold off on the judgment of saying, well, they're taking a tremendous loss because it's 2 years in, and a lot of people was projecting this from the get-go, so I don't know why they're going balls to the wall, really saying something they were saying, before the first fight with Thurman and Guerrero, even happened. So it's just hateful boxing fans going to be hateful, man. So that's my thoughts on it.
All right, and Bernard, you have something you wanted to add in, so go ahead, man.
Yeah, you mentioned something about CBS, which is owned by Viacom, which also owns Showtime. So there's a cross-promotional channels with fights and stuff, and they're working together. So I don't even see how PBC is losing any money with that relationship right there. So that one could be scratched off the table. This is my personal opinion.
Yeah, and you just got to remember, think about these are time buys and like dates are actually time buys that were paid for in advance, and we haven't even seen the majority of them yet. So just think like we're going to see more fights.
Patience is the key, man. Patience is the key.
Yeah, and you got to think, they were competing against a lot of other stuff, other sports. That's one of the things that
NFL,
one
NBA.
of their official. Yeah, college, the college, what's that, the NCAA tournament and all that stuff. These are things that one of their execs actually said in an interview recently. So they're just trying to be more timely and more efficient with the stuff they do put on. And they're picking their spots a whole lot better than before. But me personally, I'm like, if you're a fan of boxing, why would you root for any boxing entity to fail? Like, I don't root for any promotional banner. I don't root for anybody to fail. I want to see this sport succeed at the end of the day. At the end of the day, like we say, boxing is the brand, none of this other shit.
Yo,
So,
Twine.
you know, yeah, go ahead.
Look, okay, one thing I do want to say, I do agree with the one person they said they had them over too many channels, but what they was doing was they was putting the prospects on their channel. I mean, would we have ever seen an Eric Walker or a Joe Smith or Richard Comey had it not been for, you know, some of them channels they was on?
Yeah, and
that's one
fight we had last night. You know, that was a great one.
Bounce TV promotes the prospect. Bounce TV.
Right, but hold on, wait a minute though. I got a question. Is 2K on the phone? 2K?
What?
Okay. If it's two-person, you ain't got to answer it. Do you work for a Fortune 500 company?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so do I. Somebody please tell me when or where they let anybody run up $500 million before they pull the plug on them. What company allows anything like that? That's all I want to say. I mean, what black man in the United States, the president, can't even do nothing like that without catching flack? So I want somebody to just explain to me how you're telling me this man was allowed to spend up to $500 million and was not given no oversight? What 500 Fortune company would allow something like that before the halfway point, before the quarter point? They say, no, stop, pull them down. Okay, and that's what I want to say. I mean, 2K. I mean, am I wrong, 2K, or?
No, that's absolutely right.
And all I'm asking is, hey, produce your numbers. Show us the facts where you're saying Haymon is spending all his money and break it down. How? Twine just broke it down on how everything is and it's not even coming after that much money. We're not including everything in it, but show us.
That's lazy work they doing, man. They just putting out lazy work.
Right. Oh, yeah, you're just showing your hate for a brand of boxing. I mean, you love boxing. Sure. Where's your criticism at Top Rank? Where's your criticism for Golden Boy? Where's your criticism for HBO?
Since this article was put out or blog, I've seen a couple of different other boxing sites run with it, and that's a horrible thing in media.
Because it's ESPN.
Do your own homework. Go to different sources and you compile your own figures, and you'll see that they're not hemorrhaging money. And like I said, there's a such thing as a burn rate. This is a Harvard MBA educated man, and I'm pretty sure if I know about that, he certainly does. With that said, we're gonna go on to our next topic, which is close to rounding out our show. We got the U.O.E.N.O segment. Today on this day in 1976, Muhammad Ali defeated Ken Norton at Yankee Stadium by unanimous decision in their rubber match. This was a trilogy, a famous one. Ali won 2 of them. Ken Norton won 1. And this was in the latter stages of Ali's career. So, we just want to big him up on this day. Rest in peace, Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying?
Peace, champ.
That said, I want to say go on to our next segment, which is the final blow. I'll be doing it this week. We've had some pretty good things. Ivan talked about it a little bit earlier as far as we talked about it earlier as far as support for American fighters or prospects coming up. So last night I was able to watch a FS1 called Toe to Toe Tuesdays, which has been one of my favorite things, seeing up and coming prospects. Last night it was all undefeated prospects going against each other or somebody competitive. We had Brian Pereira going against a Cuban boxing school affiliated fighter, making a comeback. And, he got knocked out, you're Dennis Ugas. So I'm just saying, man, we got to start paying attention to these shows that show these younger prospects that are making a name for themselves. They're undefeated. They're going against each other a lot of the time. We even saw Dominique Dalton go against Justin DeLoach the other week. Those guys have been, well-publicized prospects coming up in the ranks. So I'm like, we need to support these kind of things early, support these fighters early, instead of waiting for them to become champions to put all of our emotions into them or our our energy into them. Like, you need to do it early on. If you go to other countries, you'll see it happening. They'll support their prospects from the ground up. So, that's just something I like to see change in the U.S. Support our prospects early. It ain't always got to be the guys with the Olympic accolades neither. There's a lot of rough, rugged guys out there. You look at a Tevin Farmer, for example. No real amateur pedigree or nothing like that, but he's definitely a guy that's made his way through the ranks and had to go through the hard, the school of hard knocks to make it to where he is, man. So I just want to see these kind of guys supported early on, as opposed to later. And with that said, I guess that concludes our show for this week. For my co-hosts, we got Bone Bernard from The Truth and Facts About Boxing. We got Big Cool from Colossal Boxing Talk. 2K the Guy from the Guys of Boxing Talk. And I am Twine the Divine Liberty, hoopjab.com. And together we are the movement. Thank you for listening.